The Torah says something very interesting. In the Gemara Masechet Sotah, page 2, it says a person is going to get a wife based on his actions. Okay? What does this mean? So Rashi, one of the greatest sages that ever lived, almost 900 years ago, gives us the details. And he says, if he's a tzaddik, he gets a modest woman. If he's a rasha, he gets a prostitute. What does one thing have to do with the other? Why can't a tzaddik get a tzaddiket? And why can't a wicked one get a wicked woman? This would make more sense. And it says no. If he's a tzaddik, he'll get a tzaddiket because he'll get a modest woman, because if she's modest, then she has much, much more likelihood of being righteous. But if she's not modest, there's 0% chance of her being righteous. Why? Because 60% of the responsibility of a woman is to be modest. Meaning that you can't pass the test of life without being modest. You have 100, you went to school. You take a test, there's 0 to 100. And, when I was still in school 20-something years ago, passing grade was 65. I don't know, maybe in today's generation it's like 12 because they want everyone to win. Third place also gets a trophy. The 30th place also gets a trophy in this generation. But, whatever, let's say it's still 65. Everyone goes to the competition, everyone gets a trophy in this generation. I don't know why, but they don't want anyone to get their feelings hurt by not getting a trophy. Okay, fine. But the teachers, maybe they still have some standards. They say you have to get a 51. 50, you failed. Oh, you know what? Even better yet. 50, you pass. 49, you fail. Now, if modesty is 60%, even if you find a way to fulfill all 40% of the other mitzvot, you did them perfect. Tarat mishpacha, Shabbat, kosher, you send your husband to the kollel, everything is fantastic. But you like wearing mini skirts and tank tops and you don't want to cover your hair. You failed the test. Simple as it gets. So, this is why people need to understand that this modesty has rules. Modesty, in so many words, for women is very, very difficult in this generation because of what we see with our eyes. We constantly compare ourselves to celebrities. We constantly compare ourselves to superstars. And we constantly compare ourselves to everything we're not supposed to compare ourselves to. Instead of being proud of being Jewish and being proud of what we are and what we have, we constantly try to want to be like the Goyim. And this creates serious problems. Because if we're comparing ourselves to one of these movie stars, then we're going to want to look like them. And when we look like them, we can't be modest. Because in today's world, the less clothes you have, the prettier the world thinks you are. This is the only thing that justifies, rationally, why a 400-pound woman can allow herself to wear shorts and a tight top and think she looks good. It's the only reason. She doesn't have a different mirror than you. But this is the only reason. Why? Because someone told her in her mind that if she wears less clothes, she looks better. It has nothing to do with what kind of clothes. It's just less. And this is the warped mentality that we have. This is why that any wife that wants to have a good marriage, first thing she needs to do is destroy television. She's not allowed to have television in her house. Why? What does she care? She likes to watch Oprah. She likes to watch all these, I don't know, whatever shows there are still on television. What's wrong with television? Because when you bring television to your house, you're in essence bringing competition. And you're guaranteed to lose. Because your husband's going to come home from wherever he went. He's going to put on television. And if anyone ever watched television, Baruch Hashem, I haven't watched it for a few years, but I'm sure it's still the same. There's no one ugly on TV. Even the ugly people are good looking. So your husband is there. He's eating the steak you slaved over. He's shooing the kids that you were praying to have. He's just thinking about I just want to be left alone and watch TV, watch the game, watch a bunch of people throw a ball, watch some show that talks about money, whatever. Waste his life doing something, watching TV. And a commercial comes on. And a nice half-naked girl comes on TV and tells him to buy soap. And from that moment on, he will always think of that woman when he uses soap. Even if he is intimate with his own wife. And any man that has a backbone will admit that if you've ever seen an immodest woman, there are specific times you think about them. These are the specific times. During prayer and during the time you're with your own wife. So while this wife that slaved herself over to make this husband dinner, prepare the house, make a nice house for him, do everything for him, she loves him, she adores him, she takes care of him, now he's thinking about a different woman when he looks at her. Whose fault is it? It's her fault. Congratulations. You're married to somebody who doesn't even look at you. So when you bring a TV to your house, you're bringing competition. And you can't win. Why can't you win? Because on TV, she has makeup artists. She always looks at our best. In real life, the wife doesn't always look her best. She goes to sleep at some point. She puts on pajamas. She's not wearing her fancy gown like she did at the wedding. Maybe she wants to put on, I don't know, comfortable clothes. So now he looks at the, model on television. And he looks at his wife. And he looks at the model. And he looks at the wife. He's like, I can get her. Every guy thinks this. Every guy thinks he can get the girl on TV. And it creates an inner battle in him of whether he should stay even married, bichlal. And then when he goes outside, he starts looking for this girl, thinking he's going to find her. And she's in his mind all the time. Whose fault? Wife's fault. She allowed the enemy inside. So any wife that wants a good marriage, eliminate the competition first. Second thing is, beauty, only allow your husband to see it. If you're the type of woman that doesn't want to be modest, and you want to go and show Joey and Steve at the supermarket what your skin looks like, but then when your husband comes home, you're only wearing sweatpants and t-shirts, don't be surprised if he divorces you after 5 years. Outside to Joey, Steve, and Wilbur, you're looking at your best. Hi, how are you? Yes, thank you for putting my food in my cart with the 8-inch heels. And then your husband comes home, he sees Tisha B'Av. Looks like he just woke up. Who wants to get married to that? So, if you do the opposite, you don't necessarily need to look ugly when you go outside, but look extra special for your husband. And don't show the world the goods. Make sure he knows this is just for you. This is why, one of the many reasons why a Jewish woman is obligated to cover her hair with a scarf or a hat. Because a big part of a woman's beauty is her hair. This is a very big difficulty for women today. But I can tell you that when you do that, you are guaranteeing your husband that you are his. Why? Because he's the only one allowed to see it. When he's the only one allowed to see it, then you're the diamond that you really are. And I'll answer your question in a second. Then you're the diamond that you really are. How do we know? If, let's say, for example, any one of you struck it rich and found a $100 million diamond. $100 million diamond doesn't necessarily need to be that big. Now, would you go in the middle of the street and throw it like a ball, like a baseball, to show it to the world? Probably not, right? What do? You put it in a safe, and you put that safe into another safe, and that safe into another safe, and another safe, and then tell everyone it's inside, but it's really in a different safe. Because you want to protect it. Why can't you protect your beauty? Why can't you show it to the only man that you promised to be with? Why do you have to show it to Steve? Why do you have to show it to Wilbur and Carlos? Why? Why do they have to see you that way? You promised your eternity to be with this man. Why does Carlos have to also see the same thing he sees? And even more so, why are you showing such provocative behavior in front of him? You don't want to be with him, so what's the point? And I could tell you something that happened in the Gemara, and then I'll answer your question. What does modesty mean in the Gemara? Two simple stories. In the Gemara Masechet Brachot, it says if a man that's getting change, he paid for something from a woman, and she has to give him change, she gives him money back. You're allowed to do business with a woman, there's nothing wrong with it. But if he's getting change or giving her change slowly, specifically so he can use that time to look at her, and even if it's just his hands, even if it's just her hands, he can have the mitzvot in the Torah of Moshe Rabbeinu, and he would still have to go to Gehenom for that. That's what modesty means to Hashem. Why? Because she belongs to another. You thief, why are you looking at her? On the other hand, we have one of the greatest sages that ever lived, Rabbi Hanina, and he had a daughter. This is also in the Gemara, a story that happened. He had two daughters. One daughter was married to Rabbi Meir Bar Hanes, which every Sephardic mother knows because we have candles say Rabbi Meir Bar Hanes. And he had another daughter. Both of them were very, very righteous, obviously coming from a great family. But the second daughter, not the one that was married to Rabbi Meir, her name was Buria, second daughter, one day she was walking in the street, and she noticed that the Goyim were looking at her and they were complimenting her walking. She was modest, not like today's world. She's modest, 100% modest. But they liked the way she walked. Well, they whistled or something. So she started walking slower. Punishment? Shortly after, Hashem sent the Goyim to Rabbi Hanina's house and took her and sent her to a prostitution house. That was the punishment. But because obviously she prayed and she had some merits, Rabbi Meir was able to save her before she was ever touched by another man. But nonetheless, just walking in a sexy way in front of people that you're not supposed to do it is already considered a sin in Hashem's eyes. Our generation is so far from reality that we have no idea of this stuff. So this is why I tell you things that are serious, things that are for adults, because this is the type of stuff that's either going to build you and get you close to Hashem, get you towards happiness, get you towards the greatest place in the world, or otherwise. But at least now you know. What's the question?